us know the name Elizabeth. A queen, a trendsetter, an advocate for abstinence. Queen Elizabeth I had a career as a monarch that spanned several decades and many accomplishments, making her one of the most prolific rulers in the history of the world. But who was she really? Tonight we take a look at the hopes, the lies, the secrets, and the dreams of the Virgin Queen.
Elizabeth was born on September 7th, 1533, to Anne Boleyn and King Henry, and unfortunately for her, she wasn't exactly what he had been hoping for. When Elizabeth was not even 3 years old, she lost her mother because Henry decided that it was time to behead her and move on. Her father had her exiled to the countryside because he couldn't bear to look at her anymore. After Henry's death, his last wife, Catherine, remarried Thomas Seymour and welcomed Elizabeth back into the court. It was then that there are rumors that we are unable to confirm that Elizabeth and Queen Catherine's husband might have been involved in a very sexual nature.
Now, what most people don't realize is that after Henry VIII died, there were several individuals who took the throne before Queen Elizabeth did. First, Henry's only son, Edward VI, took the throne, and he died rather young. He was only 15. After he died, Jane Grey took the throne. She's known as the 9 Days Queen. She didn't rule for very long. After she was beheaded by Mary I, Mary I took the throne. Queen Elizabeth then succeeded the throne after Mary I. Under Queen Elizabeth, drama flourished. Writers such as William Shakespeare, perhaps you've heard of him, and Christopher Marlowe were absolutely adored by Elizabeth. There's a lot of people that wanted to marry Elizabeth. Here's a quick list. Philip II, Archduke Charles of Austria, Henry, Duke of Anjou, Francois, Duke of Anjou, and, of course, Robert Dudley. The only problem with Dudley was the fact that he was married, but when his wife died, Elizabeth intended to marry him. Unfortunately, many of the nobility threatened to kick her out of her throne if she chose to do so, so Elizabeth remained single.
So, while all this was going on, across the border in Scotland, you got Mary Queen of Scots. Now, Mary Queen of Scots is a very interesting historical figure. She's very misunderstood. So, you got Queen Elizabeth I, right? She's in England, and she and her little people were afraid that Mary, this powerful woman, was going to come down and take the throne because she was a Catholic.
Queen Elizabeth opposed the French presence in Scotland, fearing that they would invade and put Mary, her first cousin once removed, on the English throne. Mary, Queen of Scots, was a Catholic and therefore a threat to Elizabeth's Protestant reign. She was married to Lord Darnley, an English subject. The marriage angered Elizabeth and displeased the Scottish people.
Lord Darnley was murdered in 1657. The plot thickens. Get this. Mary, being the strong woman that she is, marries his murderer. So she marries the Earl of Bothwell. They didn't know for sure that he killed her first husband, but it was supposed. Queen Elizabeth sent her a very passive-aggressive letter saying, you shouldn't marry the guy who murdered your husband. Great, thank you for that, Elizabeth.
Eventually, Mary was imprisoned in Loch Leven Castle and was forced off the throne in favor of her son, James. She escaped and fled to England, expecting to be treated with royal respect. However, Elizabeth, sensing the danger at hand, detained Mary and imprisoned her for the next 19 years.
Yeah, it's not terribly comfortable, but I suppose it's the best I can expect, being locked in a tower for 19 years. Hello, my name is Mary. I am the Queen of Scots, as I'm sometimes called. I don't really like the name Bloody Mary. I don't think it's very fair. Alright, maybe I killed a few or, hundreds of people, but look at Elizabeth. She's killed plenty in her time, and she locked me up in a tower. So she should be really being called Bloody Elizabeth, which is quite rude. I'm a Catholic by nature. I think that's the right way to live, and I think a lot of people should live that way. Elizabeth doesn't share that sentiment.
In 1569, rebels led a Catholic uprising. They tried to free Mary with the intent of putting her on the English throne. Elizabeth managed to quell the revolt and had 750 rebels put to death. Elizabeth decreed that converting people to Catholicism with the intent of dethroning the Queen was to be a treasonable offense that would result in the death penalty. Over the years, there were many Catholic plots. Elizabeth's spymaster, Sir Francis Walsingham, successfully attributed several of them to Mary's orchestration. She was beheaded on the 8th of February, 1587.
She was kept in jail for those 19 years because of these plots, and eventually she was beheaded. And of course, this made her into a martyr, which she should be. She should be a saint. Saint Mary, Queen of Scots. So anyway, that makes all of the Irish people over here in Ireland very angry.
In Ireland, there were several uprisings against her from the Catholic Irish. Elizabeth crushed these uprisings, fearing that Spain would gain a foothold in Ireland. Spain backed a rebel leader named Hugh O'Neill in Ireland, who Elizabeth then spent the next 9 years trying to oust. This is known as the 9 Years' War. This 9 Years' War was not resolved until 3 days after Queen Elizabeth's death. By 1582, an estimated 30,000 Irish people had died of starvation. After the defeat of the Spanish Armada in 1588, the time was known as Elizabeth's second term. This term was used because Elizabeth's reign was not as peaceful as it had once been. Between the poor economy and wars with both Spain and Ireland, Elizabeth was facing a lot of struggles at home.
Everyone thinks she's this great queen. She was killing poor potato-eating Irish people and being not very nice to her family.
We're here with Beatrice and Toby Belch to find out what they think of their queen. Beatrice, what do you have to say?
Well, she's all right, you know. She's a woman, she's in power, makes the rest of us all look bad.
Well, I quite like Queen Elizabeth at the very beginning, but you know, people have said she's entered a second reign, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that we're at so many wars. We got the war with Spain, we got the war with Ireland, and people are just sick of it.
What do I think of our queen? Well, I like her. I think that it's really important that a queen, excuse me, sorry, I'm doing an interview over here. You know, she's a woman, she's in power, and it gives a lot of inspiration to a lot of people like me who really don't feel very content with their situation. She made that pale virginal look very popular, and the red hair and everything.
Are we on the telly right now?
Shut your face, Toby.
Yes.
Well, the telly? Oh, I hope I look good.
So my question is, what are you meant to do when you've got ginger hair and freckles, but you're not allowed to have freckles, are you? You've got to look ghostly and pale. What are you supposed to do?
Do I get fed now? I know you said that I would get a bun if I came on the show. No food. Are you serious? I'm calling my union rep. This is ridiculous.
No, I'm sorry, there's no food. Yeah, that being said though, she hasn't really done a lot for feminism, really. I mean, you know, that's great for her, but what about the rest of us? I mean, I'd quite like to be queen one day. She's not doing anything about that, is she?
I quite like her. I mean, got nothing on you, darling. But she's rather fine.
I think you
Thank
better go
you.
now, darling.
Oh,
And we're back to you.
Don't get it all in your face. You always do this. Oh! As Elizabeth grew older, many of her friends passed away, as is common when one grows old. Elizabeth, overcome with grief and depression, passed away herself on March 24th, 1603. Elizabeth passed away without leaving an heir.
If you know your history, then just do what I do. Sing a song about Elizabeth the First.
Thank you so much for watching this documentary on my life. To learn more, go to bbc.org.
Some say she was a tyrant, she was mean to all her vassals, but then...
To learn more about abstinence, visit Bristol Palin's Twitter feed at twitter.com/BristolPalin has a baby. That's what her Twitter is.
Oh, hey, Mary. Hey, Mary was a good kitty. Oh, yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Queen Elizabeth faced a lot of opposition from the entire country for several reasons, the first and foremost being that she was a woman. Whoever let her out of the kitchen, I don't know.
Mary and I have a lot in common. For example, Elizabeth. She thinks that she wants to marry off somebody to marry to get her out of the way, which is just juvenile. And for example, my sister tried to pawn her ex-boyfriend off on me. Now, he doesn't like cats, so obviously that wasn't going to happen. But also, Mary lived in Scotland. I live in Nebraska. All these parallels.
Oh my gee, look at that! Look how I suffer for my art. Yeah.
All right.
Attributes many of these plots to Queen Mary. See, here I go calling her Queen Mary. I'm so ready for her to take the throne.
Go.
Okay, can I see the teleprompter? Yeah.
Now, what most people don't realize, just kidding, they do.
Everyone thinks she's this great queen. She was killing poor potato-eating Irish people and being not very nice to her family. It's not funny. This is serious business. I know, Mary. I have 17 cats. They're all named Mary.